What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Tuesday. An okay night last night, pretty good overall, but one guy that really let us down was Andre Drummond last night in a great matchup against Sacramento. He only dropped 31 DraftKings points or so. Blake Griffin kind of stole the show in that game, so I was expecting a lot more of him. And also Denzel Valentine came out in the first half, and the Bulls team in general couldn't get anything going in offense, but he turned it up in the second half. But then they ended up going with that bench lineup, kind of the tank lineup for the Bulls. They just threw in the towel in that game. They definitely didn't want to win that one. So Valentine only got like 22 minutes and dropped like all of his points in the second half. So that was disappointing after a huge game he had against the Cavs at the game before. So I was expecting more out of him. Giannis, he did very well, dropping 60 DraftKings points, but it just sucks that LeBron on the other side of the ball dropped 79. He just went into God mode in the third quarter. I'm not sure how many points he got in the third quarter, but it seemed like every other time he had the ball, he was getting an assist, hitting a three, getting a layup, or something like that. I was watching the game, so that kind of sucked. Quinn Cook did well, though. 32 DraftKings points. Another good game out of him. Jeremy Lamb, my cheap play, my lottery guy, got 31 DraftKings points, so some good value out of him. Larry Nance, I mentioned him in the video. He was actually ruled out right after I made my video. So originally I pivoted to Jeff Green in that game, but then it was announced that Kevin Love was going to actually be playing on a minutes limit, so I pivoted to Buddy Hield, who had a good night. He had 37 DraftKings points. Also, I tweeted about Darren Collison, who had a good night. I mentioned Jarrell Martin on the Grizzlies and Jermichael Green with Marcus Gasol, but Martin, he got 6. He fouled out of the game in 12 minutes. Very disappointing there. It kind of pissed me off. I tweeted out saying I don't know if he's trying to see how fast he can foul out of this game. Jermichael Green did pretty solid though, because he didn't foul out. So definitely follow me on Twitter, like I mentioned on all my videos, at MoneyWebby, for some other plays and some updates, because everything changes. I didn't know that Darren Collison was going to start until I saw that an hour before lock, so I tweeted about that. And also the thing with Kevin Love, that I tweeted about Buddy Hield. So you got some good value if you saw those guys. But Jerome Martin really let us down last night with that foul trouble. Only 12 minutes. But we're back here again on Tuesday. A 6-game slate tipping off at 8 p.m. So definitely be in mind of that, because we'll have a little bit longer to get some news here on some guys that are questionable and stuff like that. So I got my money 6 for you. My favorite 6 guys to throw in your lineups, got to balance throughout kind of, so you can throw all these guys in. So drop a like in the video if you're ready to go win some money here tonight. 100 plus likes. If we can get that, I greatly appreciate it. Let's just get into it though. I'm going to kick it off with Damian Lillard. Originally I was going to go with James Harden, but there's a lot of guys here on the slate that I like in the kind of the upper mid tier. So I wanted to go with Damian Lillard here to balance it out a little bit more. And he always has that upside, even though he's kind of not in that stud level of 10,000 plus. So at 9,300, should be a fairly high-scoring game against Houston. He's had some great games against them this year. 51 DraftKings points in the 2 games against them, shooting 50% from the field against them. So he definitely feels comfortable in this matchup. An okay game last game against the Clippers. He didn't need to do that much. CJ McCollum was kind of doing the most of the work in the second half. So Lillard kind of got rested in that second half in that one. But he was just going off for the most part the last few weeks. Some 50-plus DraftKings points here and there. I think he even had a 60 bomb at one point, but he was just having a great stretch of basketball. So I think he'll get back to that in this matchup against Houston. The point guards actually have been doing pretty well against Houston recently. I mentioned Jeff Teague the other night against Houston. It's been one of the better spots to attack them recently with the DraftKings scoring. So I think Lillard can have a good game here. They're playing in Portland. Portland's been on a crazy win streak recently, and we know that Houston doesn't lose that much either. So I think this will be a close competitive game. And Lillard normally steps up to the competition here. So I think we'll have a big game here. A lot more shots coming his way. So lock him in there. And for my second guy, we're going to go with Lou Williams. Another crazy big game for both these teams with the Clippers and the T-Wolves. We know that Jimmy Butler is out, so that definitely frees up some things for Lou Williams. a much better matchup. We saw James Harden have a great game against Minnesota. Their shooting guards aren't great defensively. Wiggins has been kind of playing that 2 role, but he's just not quick enough to stay with Lou Williams. So I think Lou Williams can definitely free himself up in that matchup, and he's had some great games against Minnesota already, averaging 40 DraftKings points in the 3 games against them. Similar to Lillard, he is just shooting very well against this team, and he had a better game last game against Portland. 40 DraftKings points. He's kind of struggling before that. That was when he was in the starting lineup. It just seems like he's more comfortable coming off the bench, so I'm guessing they'll bring him off the bench yet again here. It seems like his usage is just higher. He kind of can get more into that just like score first mode, which they definitely need on the Clippers. So I think he'll kind of get back into that mode here tonight against Minnesota. They need him to have a big game. The Clippers desperately need a win here. They've been losing a lot recently. So Lou Williams, lock him in there. I think he's going to approach that 40-plus upside he has yet again in this game. And next up, I'm going to go with Josh Jackson. With TJ Warren dealt for this game. I'm not sure if he already got ruled out. He might have, honestly. But at 6,300 here, he should have a much better game. Well, not a much better game, but just a good game without TJ Warren. And against Detroit has been kind of struggling against these shooting guard small forward roles since they got rid of Avery Bradley, and these other guys have stepped up. But Stanley Johnson did move back to the starting lineup last game. Could limit Josh Jackson a bit. And Devin Booker currently questionable. That's the main thing here. If Devin Booker doesn't play and TJ Warren is out, then Josh Jackson, his usage is just gonna be so high in this game. Like, he should get 20-plus shots again like he did against Golden State last game. But if Devin Booker is back in this game and Stanley Johnson is on him, it kind of puts me off Josh Jackson a little bit. I still like him, but not nearly as much as I would like him if Devin Booker is out of this game. So keep that in mind. Look to see if Devin Booker is playing or not. I might pivot off Josh Jackson if he is in the lineup, because I think Devin Booker will have a crazy good game against Detroit if he is back in 100%. But Josh Jackson, assuming that Devin Booker is out, his usage is going to be so crazy here. He's going to have like 20-plus shots, like I said before, and it's tough to avoid that at 6,300. This guy has shown great upside when he gets it going, especially without 2 of their top scorers here. So Josh Jackson, lock him in there. And for my 4th guy, Blake Griffin, coming off a crazy good game against Sacramento last night. I think he'll keep it going here. Another great matchup against Phoenix, one of the worst teams in the league against power forwards. He's had some great games recently. Seems like he's finally getting back to that role with Detroit we saw when he first came over to Detroit, where he's just getting those high-scoring, close to triple-double games. Like we saw 50 bomb last night, 50 against Denver, 47 against Chicago, 48 against Toronto. So it seems like he's back to his old self here. And against Phoenix, like I said, a great matchup. He didn't even do that much against them last game, and he still dropped 49 DraftKings points, only on 13 shots in 27 minutes. So it kind of shows the upside he has in this matchup. I think he'll have a huge game here. 8,500, not a bad price tag there, so lock him in. Should be a faster paced game than, which is great for Blake Griffin. It seems like he always benefits in those kind of games. And for my 5th guy, J.J. Barea, currently questionable, but if Dennis Smith Jr. is out of this game. So Barea, if he plays, he should get a few extra minutes here, and more usage, some more shots, and more possible assists as he'll have the ball in his hands a little bit more here, and he's been pretty damn consistent. Every time he plays, around 25 to 30 DraftKings points, which is definitely good at 4,800. It should be a great cash game play. Good for at least 5 times value, I think, in this game. And it's a great matchup against New Orleans, especially if he starts at that point guard role. We know that Rondo has been really struggling this year defensively. So I think J.J. Barea can definitely score in him and get those assists as well. He's always good for around maybe a double-double every single game because he can fill it up with the points and the assists. So good value here, especially if he plays. Lock him in there. We should get word before that 8 p.m. tip as the slate starts at 8 p.m. So definitely keep your eye on that. I'll pivot off Barea. Obviously, I'll tweet out about that if he is out. So those are the top 5, though. You got Lillard, Lou Williams, Josh Jackson, Blake Griffin, and Barea. But like I said, keep an eye on Barea and Devin Booker in case you might want to pivot off Josh Jackson if Booker is out. I mean, if Booker is playing, because Booker will probably have a crazy good game if he's back there. But for my dollar cheap play, lottery guy, Ish Smith at 4,400 going against Phoenix. Another great matchup against Phoenix. Elfrid Payton, another guy that is not a good defender at all. Ish Smith had a good game against them earlier this year. I believe he was coming off the bench in this game, and he still dropped 28 drafting points. Crazy good game. And when Elfrid Payton was on the Magic as well, Ish Smith had a great game against them for 30-plus drafting points in that one. So I think Ish Smith here will have another good game here. He's coming off a great game against Sacramento. He was balling in that fourth quarter. I was actually watching it to see what was going on with Drummond and Buddy Hield last night. So Ish Smith, I think he'll keep it going here on a good matchup. Maybe some more assists in this game and just some easier shots against Phoenix. We saw Quinn Cook go off against them the other night. So Ish Smith, definitely a capable point guard. His minutes have been trending back up as he's been playing a little bit better recently. Seems like he's finally getting a stronger hold on to that starting point guard role against Dwight Bucks. I think he should get around like 25 to 30 minutes in a great matchup. Tough to avoid that. Lock him in there. So that is it. Gets you up to 4,700 remaining per player. All these guys can return a ton of value here on this slate, so I love them a lot. 6-game slate. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Got anything out of this 100-plus likes. I greatly appreciate it. And definitely subscribe if you haven't. We're like within 50 subscribers away from me hosting that tournament. So if you want that tournament now, rather than later, make sure to subscribe and you can turn notifications on with that little bell icon so you can get alerted every time I upload this. And like I said, follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby. I'll be updating any of these plays if anything changes. If Bray is out, if Devin Booker is playing, maybe I'll pivot to Devin Booker or something like that and kind of switch up the lineup. But that is it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Wish you guys the best of luck. 6-game slate. Remember, it's tipping off at 8 p.m. Extra hour of research and news coming your way for that one. So good luck tonight, guys. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.